They didn't notice when I started saying less. That's the thing about families like mine. They don't listen to you unless you're offering something. Money,
Time.
favors. They only hear your silence when it affects their plans. And by the time my silence did, I was already gone. Ever realize the people closest to you only love the version of you that serves them? Please subscribe to this channel for more of such stories. Growing up, I was the eldest of three. The responsible one. The peacekeeper. The babysitter. The errand runner. The one who always understood. It didn't matter if I had homework, work shifts, or migraines. If someone forgot a dentist appointment or needed help with bills, I was the call. They said it with pride, too. She's like a second mom. She's the rock of this family. We'd be lost without her. Funny thing about rocks. They crack when you lean on them too long. I didn't mind it at first. I thought it was love. I thought being needed meant being wanted. I paid rent to my parents when I lived at home after college. Helped my brother get out of debt twice. Took care of my sister's baby when she had classes. Even helped manage the books at my father's store after my mother got sick. But when I asked for help, real help, it was like I'd broken a rule they never said out loud. It was a Tuesday when I collapsed. I'd been ignoring the fatigue for weeks. The headaches. The dizziness. Too much to do.
No time to stop.
I was running errands for my mom, filing paperwork for the store, texting my sister about her car repairs when I blacked out on the sidewalk outside a pharmacy. I woke up in the ER with an 4 in my arm and a nurse asking me who she could call. I gave her 4 numbers. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister. Not one picked up. Not one called back. I spent the night alone in that hospital bed watching shadows crawl across the ceiling, thinking, this is how much I matter to the people I've given my entire life to. The next morning, my sister texted, sorry, was asleep. What's up? I didn't reply. They didn't visit. Didn't ask questions. My mom called 4 days later asking why I hadn't picked up her prescription. My dad reminded me the inventory logs at the store were still a mess. My brother sent me a Cash App request to spot him till Friday. I realized something that changed everything. They weren't family. I was infrastructure. So I did something they never expected. Nothing. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't post vague quotes on Facebook. I just stopped. I filed to separate from the business. Transferred my savings. Found a remote job in a different state. Sublet a studio under a different name. And then I left.
No will be.
Just air. Vanishing wasn't dramatic. It was clinical. I deactivated the group chat. I changed my number. Canceled the joint streaming accounts. I untangled myself from every digital string they could tug on. In less than a week, I erased the version of me they used as an emotional ATM. I even left the family WhatsApp group quietly. No final message. No guilt-laced farewell.
Just gone.
It was amazing how long it took them to notice. At first, I think they assumed I was sulking. They were used to that, me taking a breath, then coming back when someone needed something. But when the baby shower invite went unanswered and the electric bill didn't get paid, the calls started. I watched them roll in one by one, from the comfort of my new life in a city where no one knew my last name. I didn't answer, not because I wanted them to suffer, but because I needed to survive. I rented a 1-bedroom above a bookstore and started writing again, something I hadn't done in nearly 10 years. I made ramen at midnight, walked unfamiliar streets with no destination, and started therapy with a woman who never once told me to forgive for my own peace. For the first time in my adult life, my time was mine. My thoughts weren't filtered through obligation. When I got sick again, I took myself to the hospital. I brought my own robe. I made my own tea. I handled it, and I realized something both sobering and beautiful. I was all I ever really needed. My family kept calling. At first, it was the polite concern. Hey, just checking in. We miss you. You okay? Then it turned cold. You're being selfish. After all we did for you, you can't just disappear. But I had. And it was glorious. The guilt was there in the beginning. It always is when you've been raised to believe love means sacrificing yourself. I wrote letters I never sent, cried into my pillow at night, wondered if they missed me or just missed the convenience of me. Then the letters stopped. The tears dried, and I started living. A year passed. I built a platform online, writing about burnout, boundaries, and rebuilding your identity after family trauma. I used a pen name. No photos.
No bio.
Just words. I didn't expect it to go far, but it did. A thread I wrote about invisible daughters went viral. Then a podcast called. Then an editor reached out about a book. And somewhere along the way, the girl who used to drop everything for a sibling's car trouble became someone people quoted for strength. Back home, things were changing too. I didn't have to ask. I still had access to the community grapevine. My father was forced to sell the store. My sister started a GoFundMe when she couldn't afford daycare. My brother got arrested for driving under the influence, with his daughter in the back seat. They were unraveling, but I didn't smile about it. I just noticed. Like you notice a house you once lived in has collapsed from the inside. The first time they saw me again, I wasn't standing in their doorway. I was on a stage. It was the State Conference for Women in Recovery and Reinvention, a gathering of people who had clawed their way back from silence, burnout, betrayal. My memoir had just been released under my real name.
No pseudonym this time. No val. No epalegi.
Just the truth wrapped in clean sentences and quiet rage. A keynote speaker dropped out at the last minute, and the organizers asked me to fill the slot. I hesitated, not because I wasn't ready, but because I knew they might be watching. Not the audience, my family. And sure enough, there they were. Second row. My mother's mouth half open in disbelief. My brother pretending to look bored. My sister clinging to her phone like a shield. Maybe they thought I'd give them a nod, a line, a crumb. I gave them nothing, because this wasn't for them. It was for me, and for every person who stayed too long in a family that fed on their reliability. I read an excerpt from the chapter titled, "Favor is Not Love." My voice was calm. My back was straight. I did not stutter when I said, the first time I realized I was only loved for what I could do, not who I was the night I came home from the hospital and found no one waiting for me. A woman in the audience cried. Someone clapped softly. My mother blinked twice, as if trying to confirm I was really standing there. I didn't flinch. After the talk, a line formed. People wanted books signed, hugs shared, stories swapped. I saw my family standing near the edge, hesitant, uninvited. My brother looked like he was gearing up to perform concern. My sister held the book like it had betrayed her. Eventually they approached. You could have warned us, my mom said. You could have helped me when I was bleeding, I replied. We didn't know, my brother started. You didn't ask. They expected confrontation. But what I gave them was distance wrapped in dignity. I handed my mother a signed copy of the book and walked away before she could speak. The inscription inside read, "For all the versions of me that had to raise themselves. I see you. You're enough." Later that week, the book hit a national bestsellers list. A podcast episode one recorded about family estrangement went viral. Millions of listens in 2 days. An op-ed I wrote about emotional labor in families trended on major media outlets. Strangers told my story back to me. The world gave voice to the things my family had forced into silence. And the best part? I never had to name them. They knew who they were. And so did everyone else. They say silence can be peaceful. But in their house, it rang like judgment. For the first time in years, No one in my family could explain me away. I wasn't the tired one anymore, the always busy one, the quiet sister who never said no. I was a name on shelves, a voice in headphones, a quote in articles they couldn't stop from spreading. And not once did I have to raise my voice. They tried to deny it at first. She's exaggerating. It wasn't that bad. She always wanted attention. But the audience was bigger now. And the truth didn't need defending. My mother stopped hosting bridge nights. My sister deleted her social media accounts. My brother, ever the deflector, posted a Facebook rant about how people will say anything to sell a story, but deleted it within the hour when comments turned against him. They weren't used to being questioned. They were used to being believed. That was my role after all. The quiet witness. The loyal cover story. Now, they were exposed without ever being named. I heard through a cousin that the family had tried to hold a reunion meeting.
To talk.
To clear the air. But mostly to figure out how to recover what they'd lost. Not just their reputations, but the convenience I once brought. They couldn't run the business without me. Couldn't host holidays without me. Couldn't explain to people why I was never around without sounding defensive. So they sat in that house, surrounded by the walls I helped keep standing for years, and wondered how someone like me, so soft, so obliging, could become the one to break them. They never understood the difference between kindness and servitude. One day, I got a letter. Handwritten. Folded twice. No return address, but the handwriting was my mother's. I opened it on my porch, surrounded by the life I built. Plants in bloom, coffee steaming beside me, sunlight warming my skin like a blessing they never offered. The letter read, "You embarrassed us. I still don't understand what we did that was so unforgivable. Families fight. They recover. They don't go public." I didn't finish reading. Because that one sentence told me everything. They were sorry they got caught. Not sorry for what they did. I didn't reply. I didn't send the letter back. I didn't write about it. Some silences deserve to echo. But I did keep it. Not as a memory. As a reminder. At a speaking event months later, someone asked me what forgiveness meant to me. I paused, thinking about that letter, that house, that family frozen in the mirror of their own behavior. Then I answered. Forgiveness is choosing peace over access. It's deciding who doesn't get to enter your healing just because they broke your spirit first. There was silence after that. Not the hollow kind. The sacred kind. They used to say, I didn't shine. Not directly, of course. But in the hundreds of ways a family tells you you're not the special one. I was the helper. The steady hand. The one behind the curtain holding everyone else's spotlight steady while they basked in it. When I vanished, I didn't do it for drama. I did it for air.
For truth.
And because somewhere along the way I realized they didn't just overlook me. They depended on me being overlooked.
But now?
Now I walk into auditoriums where people know my name before I say it. They quote me in essays. They cry when I speak. They tell me their stories, stories that mirror mine, sometimes word for word. And I no longer feel like a shadow holding up someone else's light. I am the stage now. When the memoir hit international charts, I was invited to speak at a conference abroad. The kind that features Nobel Prize winners and changemakers. The theme that year? Reclaiming voice. I flew first class. Stayed in a suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a city I once dreamed of seeing. And when I stepped onto that stage, dressed in power and grace, there was no fear in me. The final chapter of my talk was about legacy. Not the kind that's written in bloodlines or bank accounts. But the legacy we build from what we've endured. The dignity we sculpt from the wreckage. Afterward, in the green room, a producer approached me. A streaming network wanted to adapt the book. Would you consider playing yourself? She asked. I laughed. No, I said. But I'll write every line. I never went back to the old house. Never needed to. But one afternoon, a letter arrived at my publishing office. It was from a young girl, 13 maybe. The handwriting was shaky, but her words were fire. My mom says I'm too emotional, too much. But I read your story, and I think maybe being too much means I'm already enough. That was it for me. That was the victory. Not the book sales. Not the stage lights. Not the family members shrinking under the weight of the truth they once denied. It was the fact that someone like me, quiet, tired, almost erased, had turned her survival into a signal flare. I didn't need revenge anymore. Because I had resonance. Have you ever stepped into your power so completely the people who broke you couldn't recognize the person you became? Please subscribe to this channel. Because the best revenge isn't being heard by them, it's being seen by the world.